This conference will now be recorded.
Hi everyone, good morning. Let's wait for a few minutes, 1 to 2 minutes, and then we'll start our session. Hi, good morning. Let's start here. Just waiting for a few minutes, then we can start. I hope now we are able to hear, right?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay. So I'll just start from basics, like what we are going to discuss in this session and what we are going to learn by the end of the session. So that we will be discussing, and then I will start from basics. So in this session, we'll be coming up with a few things like, let me note it down that. This one. Okay. So initially, I will be starting with Docker, and it's not Paint. Okay. Does anyone know about Mac in complete? There is no Paint kind of thing. Okay. No, all forms. Okay. Okay. Hmm. Let me. This is same website. Let's see this one. Shit. Just a second, guys. Just I want to see. Paint. Okay. There's text. Shit. What to do? Let me paint. What I can do? Let me open my Gmail and see whether I can drive sheet chat. Okay, let me open slides. I'll write content over there. So initially we'll be starting with Docker. Okay, so once in the Docker, we will be learning something like whatever the options we have in Docker that we'll be learning. Not only that, let us say you are running your application in the Docker. Okay, so how you can access your application from outside? That is one thing, that is just a basic thing. And how to use a storage. Let us say you have an external storage. So how will you mount that particular external storage to your container? So that comes under storage part. And after that, how to create our own images. Let's say you are initially you will be pulling the images from the Docker Hub. Docker Hub in the sense which is a centralized repository where everybody will push the images. Okay, so our Docker command will try to communicate to the Docker Hub, and then it will try to pull the image. If it is not available, then it will say like image is not found. So that's how it works. So that is how like you can also push your own customized images to the Docker Hub. We will see that particular part. And how to build our own customized images. There are multiple ways. One is through converting your container into image. Okay, so ISO is called in Docker, it is called as images. In container technology, let us say if you want to create a virtual machine or a physical machine, you need to have an IS4 to install an operating system, right? So in the same way, if you want to create a container, we need to have an image. Okay, image is a lightweight what do we say, bundle wrapper, which will create a minimum required libraries and binaries for your application to run. So that I will tell you later. But we will be looking into building our own customized images. Okay, using converting your container into images, that is the first thing. Writing a Docker file in order to build our own images. Okay, so that is the second part. And third part is nothing but how to build our own registry. Instead of storing the images in the Docker Hub, how I can build my own registry and store my images, that is like private and secured, so that no one can access my registry. So Docker Hub in the sense they can hack it, or like whatever it is, they can see my images. If it is private, okay, fine. But if it is public, everybody can look into my image, right? So I don't want to run into this particular situation. So I want to store my images in my own repository. So then we can build our own registry, that is Docker registry. Okay, so that part also we can see it. So these things we will be discussing in Docker. So why, and after that, that particular Docker is called as Docker engine. Okay, so Docker engine is nothing but the Docker technology which we talked. Simply, they will call as Docker. Actually, it is a Docker engine tool which will be creating a containers. Okay, so this Docker tool, Docker engine will be creating a container. Whatever the parameters you specify, according to that, it will take the inputs from the Docker command, and then it will pass it to the Docker daemon, and Docker daemon will talk to the hardware, and then it will create the resource for you. So in Docker, once this particular technologies have been discussed, I'll be telling you like what kind of technologies, like what kind of technology they have used in order to achieve this Docker functionality. Like discussing about namespaces, C groups, namespaces, then C groups. Okay, then what is wrapper? Okay, and then we have something like control groups. We have namespaces. wrapper, file system. So this technologies we will be discussing. What is this namespaces? How they will be creating it? What is C groups? Okay, what is wrapper? What is file system? So this particular topics we'll be discussing once the Docker is done. Um, share your contact. So this particular namespaces, C groups, and wrapper and file system will be using in the backend of the Docker in order to achieve the functionality of creating the. So that we will need to discuss. If I speak about this in the starting class itself, you don't understand. So that's the reason once the Docker session is done, then I can discuss about this particular technologies. Okay, and then overlay network. Okay, so this particular topics we'll be discussing. Once this is done, then we'll be having an overview of Docker Swarm. So Docker Swarm is a cluster technology. Okay, cluster which is called as cluster. What is cluster? Cluster in the sense grouping multiple servers together and managing it from one particular machine. Let us say you have a simple example I will tell you. Let us say everybody has joined the session, right? Let us say totally there are 19 people here, out of which 10 people have joined, 10 people have installed Docker. Okay, all the people are running containers. Okay, now they want to manage from a single node. Okay, they don't want to log into 10 servers and then create a containers and all. Okay, so they want to manage from a centralized location. So for that, what they will do, they can use a concept called in Docker, that is Docker Swarm. Docker Swarm in the sense grouping multiple Docker engines together under a single platform is called as Docker Swarm. Okay, grouping together so that you can manage from one particular node instead of going to each and every node. You can log in from one particular node and you can create the containers for you. Okay, that is a cluster technology we have, and then we will be discussing about YAML syntaxes. Okay, YAML syntaxes and writing writing the YAML files. Okay, and JSON. So what is a JSON file? What is a YAML file? Okay, what it does exactly. So everything we can discuss. Okay, if you want to convey orchestration, have you heard about? So in this concept, I will also telling you orchestration. So that is all about orchestration. Orchestration in the sense to be simple. Just going to do. So orchestration in this is, let us say I want to create a container. Okay, what will you do? First of all, you need to pull the image, and then you need to create a container with the specific parameter saying that I want this particular port, I want this particular name, I want this particular host name, and I want to use some port exposing. So everything you will specify, right? So instead of specifying from CLI, it is bit tough to specify from CLI. We have plenty of options, right? So what he will do, he will specify in the YAML file or a JSON file. He will specify what are the things he want for a Docker container to be created. So and then he will write whatever the things he want, and then he will use a command to use that particular file to create a container. So that particular concept is called as orchestration. Whatever you want to do, you will write in a file that will be created according to the values you have specified in the YAML file or a JSON file. That is called as orchestration. Okay, so that's how. So in real time, it is bit tough to remember all the options and what are the steps we need to follow, right? So for that reason, they will be writing in a YAML file or whatever it is, and then they will use certain commands in order to use that particular file in order to create the resource. Okay, so that particular concept is called as orchestration. Okay, so that we need to discuss. Any questions in this? Any particular tool you want to, or any questions or any doubts you can ask me.
So what
You
is
can ask.
Docker Compose?
Docker Compose is a kind of orchestration. So orchestration, right? So there will be YAML file. So in the YAML file, you will specify some things like what you want to do, what kind of container you want to create, what image you want to use, what should be the name of the container. So everything you'll specify in the YAML file. Using Docker Compose command, you will try to use that YAML file. I told you, right? We need to use certain commands in order to create this orchestration. Okay. So in the YAML file, you have specified it, what kind of storage you want to use, everything you have specified. And that YAML file I want to use in order to create a container. So using Docker command, you cannot do it. You can Docker or any other command. So only a Docker Compose can be used in order to pull the YAML file and then create the resource for you. That is Docker Compose. It doesn't do much. Docker need to be installed. Without having Docker, you cannot use Docker Compose.
Okay, so Docker Compose is like something, is it same as of Docker file or is it something different? So,
No, it's not a Docker file actually. So Docker file is completely different and their particular syntaxes is different. Okay. See, let us say to be simple, now your organization has decided to run an application. So for that application, we need to have a port forwarding. This particular image need to be available, and that should be the name of the image container, and that should be the host, some particular host name. So these things like you are not able to remember every time, you cannot recall it, right? You will be involved in multiple tasks. Always you cannot remember these particular values when you want to pass or when you want to create a container. So what he will do immediately, he will make a frame of that particular, he will prepare a frame of it in a YAML file. Like this should be the name of the container, this should be the host name of my container, this should be the image which I need to pull from the Docker Hub. Okay, this should be the volume. So I'll write in a YAML file. That YAML file you need to use it in order to create a container. So how you can use it? Docker command doesn't work. Okay, then we have a command called Docker Compose. Docker hyphen compose hyphen f. If you give a file name, then it will take that particular file as an input, and it will take the values whatever it is required, and then it will pass it to the Docker daemon, and Docker daemon will create a resource according to the values you have specified. That is how.
okay.
Okay. Every time you can follow the same YAML file in order to see. Let's say tomorrow you want to create another container with Spain specifications. Now it is not required to recall. Just you open the YAML file, modify some particular names, and then rerun the compose file. That's it.
Okay,
That
so
is just
it's just
simple.
a command. It's just a command to
It's
run
just a
the.
command.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a command. Docker compose is a command in order to use the YAML files. YAML or JSON, whichever you want. Okay. Uh, any other questions, please?
So as a part of this course, so
Hmm.
so like we are gonna learn Docker and Kubernetes, right?
Yes, yes, yes. So just I'm teaching about Docker Swarm because before you go into the Kubernetes, why don't we use Docker Swarm? What are the disadvantages we have in Docker Swarm? That what I want to explain, and then I will go to Kubernetes. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Because we have the Docker Swarm, which works like Kubernetes, but Kubernetes has more options to create, more resource to create than Docker Swarm. That's what I want to convey. Before Kubernetes came into picture, we have a Docker Swarm to create a cluster concept. Now Kubernetes came into picture,
So are we
and then no
gonna
one is using Docker Swarm. Yeah.
are we gonna learn like like containerizing the applications? So or
Yes, yes, yes. So we'll be taking one example of applications, and then we'll try to deploy in multiple ways. Let us say how to build our own Docker file. Let's say you want to install Tomcat, right? So some particular steps will be involved. Okay. When someone want to build an image, let's say I want to create a container, right? When I create a container, I want to have a Tomcat installed. I don't want to install it from my end. Let us take one simple scenario. Let us hope in this batch we have a developer or tester. They will understand this concept. Okay, developer want a container where he want all the setups of his particular organization. Let's say this particular Apache version, this particular website related content, and some lot other things like dependency packages and everything. So this every time every developer cannot install it, right? He cannot remember all these particular steps. He is new to the organization. So then what organization will try to do? Instead of lacking the time in this particular scenario of explaining the each and every developer about this package and dependencies, they will build their own customized image, okay, with all these particular parameters, and they will create a container. Simply they will give the image to the developer, he will create a container using that. So he will get all the things which a developer is required for that particular organization. It is just simple. Once you build your image, you are done. So you can create a number of containers. So every developer can use the same image in order to build the container with the same application. Okay, and then they can start their testing. Okay, so that's how it works.
Hello, sir.
Yeah,
Is this the first class actually?
yeah, this is the
Yeah.
first day. Demo is already done.
Okay,
So this
okay,
is the first class. We are discussing something beyond this. Okay, so we
okay.
are starting
Because I'm
from today.
yeah, I'm coming up with lots of new words.
Oh,
So
okay, okay.
that I don't understand. So I'm
No, no,
just
no.
wondering whether it's a first class.
This is the first class we have. This is the first class. See, technical
Okay.
terms, it's a bit different. Orchestration, everything you'll come to learn about it. Then we have that
Mm-hmm.
particular concept. Just I'm telling you like what kind of concepts and technologies we discuss in this particular entire course. So that is what I'm
Mm-hmm.
telling. Maybe this is new for you. Namespaces, C groups, wrapper, file system, overlay network,
Even
Docker
Docker
Swarm. This
itself
is a
new.
bit new.
Docker
But
itself is new for me.
oh, okay, fine, fine. So
Okay.
then it's okay, not a big issue. So then we'll be starting from today or tomorrow, according to the time permits. So then we'll be starting today or tomorrow. Okay.
Okay. That's no.
Yeah. So after this entire thing is done, then we'll be discussing about Kubernetes. Okay.
Hi,
Hey,
Saddam.
Sudham, so one question. Rather,
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead, please.
yeah, how this course will be help to the developers and the lead technical leads?
See, technical leads, let us say developers or whatever it is, let us say if you want to develop something, you need to have some tool, right? So where you are, general scenario, let us talk in general discussion. So how you are developing your applications or whatever it is, using some particular language, right? So whether it might be a Python language, whether it can be a Ruby or Go language, whatever it is, right? So for that, your company has to provide you a resource in order to test your applications or develop your applications. Okay. So now companies are not in a position to provide a physical server, a physical resource to everyone, every developer. Okay, and it is bit tough for a company to maintain it because if you went something, let us say something went wrong in the physical server or a virtual machine. Let's say you have installed unnecessary package that is creating a problem, which company is not allowed to do that. So then again you need to reinstall the operating system and you need to do from scratch or whatever it is. Okay, so that's like wasting your time in order to create a resource or to reinstall the resources. Okay, so a testing application, it is getting tough to maintain it. So then what we have a containers. So containers, what it will do, it doesn't have any operating system. Containers will have only the file system and binaries which are required to maintain your application. See, let us say in physical server or virtual machine, what you want to have application to run. So we need to have some libraries and binaries, and we need to have a kernel in order to talk to the hardware, right? So
Right.
whereas virtual machine, when you want to do something, when in virtual machine you will see unnecessary services will be running in the background, because that should be running by default. You cannot kill it because if your kernel is having, the kernel requires some particular services running in the background. You cannot kill it. That will crash your operating system or it will create a problem for you. So in virtual machines or physical machines, unnecessarily you are running some particular process which is not required to maintain your application. Okay, and because of that your resources are getting full, like your RAM is getting used by that particular process, your CPU is getting utilized by them, your storage is utilized by them, and your CPU is utilized by them, right? And these are the things which are used unnecessarily. I want to just test my application or develop my application, so why I need to maintain it? So then they have developed a concept called containers. What containers will have? container doesn't have any operating system. So you came out of that particular unnecessary process running in the background. Okay. So then how it will maintain my applications? How, if container doesn't have any operating system, how my container will launch my application and how it will maintain it? So containers will have the libraries and binaries of an operating system in order to maintain your application. When someone asks you like definition of Docker, whatever it is, tell that Docker is a tool which is need, which, or let us say if someone asks you what is image in Docker, image is not an operating system, it is just a wrapper which will maintain the file system of that particular specific operating system, okay, to run your applications. That's it. So how it will talk to the like hardware then? See, I want to use some CPU RAM, right? Without using it, I cannot run my application in the container. So then your Docker container will talk to the daemon, and daemon will create a namespace. Using that namespace, it will transfer the information to the hardware, physical hardware. So your containers will rely on the physical hardware. Your virtual machines will rely on the virtual machine itself, virtual resources. Okay. So I want to explain in later sessions. So we are going to start, but this is not the right way to. So I don't want to start here itself. Okay. But these are the concepts which we are going to discuss in this entire course. Okay. Docker engine, this particular wrappers, Docker Swarm, and Kubernetes orchestration complete. Okay. And so I will be showing you some real-time examples like how will you monitor your Kubernetes setup. Let us say there is a pod running inside, right? You don't know when it will be down, or you want to monitor that particular pod from a centralized tool. So for that we have a monitoring tools like Nagios, Prometheus. So there are some particular tools. So I'll be showing you how to install it and how to configure it and monitor that particular tool. Okay. So real-time scenario, how many containers we can host on the same VM, assuming each container contains web application. So that logic is simple. Let us say I'm taking an example. Let us say you are maintaining a Flipkart application in the virtual container. So how much resource it is required, right? So it depends upon the application usage. What container will be having? Container doesn't have any limit by default. Let us say it should use only this much amount of CPU, this much amount of RAM and all. We can set a margin, but by default, if you create a container, it doesn't use any limitations in the resource. It will use how much it is required. Okay. So because of that, what will happen? Your application resource will be getting increased. According to that, it will use it. So it depends. So I can simply say that can container auto scale? Yes, in Kubernetes it can be done. That is what in Docker Swarm we don't have it. In Kubernetes we have it. We can do that. Scaling of automatically you can scale your containers. Let us say my container is using more than 80% of CPU utilization. I want to launch 2 containers automatically. So then we have this particular concept, auto scaling group. So in AWS we have auto scaling group, right? So similar to that. Do you pre-requirements to write YAML file? No, nothing. Just a YAML. That's it. Will you scale down? Yes, yes, obviously. Scale in and scale out, both we have. See, when we have scale in, obviously there will be a scale out, right? Obviously, we have in Kubernetes, we have scale in and scale out. So that is a concept which we have in
So,
AWS, like auto scaling group.
what is the difference between like Red Hat OpenShift Kubernetes and the
Yeah.
normal Kubernetes?
So OpenShift is using Kubernetes. It's not a separate tool. Okay. So OpenShift is using Kubernetes. Additionally to Kubernetes, they have added some new features to OpenShift. That's it. Nothing else. How your Kubernetes underlying it is using a Docker. See, Docker is a main tool which we see. Even Kubernetes is using Docker as a baseline to create containers. Okay. Kubernetes is grouping multiple containers, multiple servers together, and you are maintaining from single point of location. That's all about Kubernetes. Okay. So underlying it should use Docker in order to create containers. Similar to that, OpenShift is not a separate technology, a separate tool developed. It is using background Kubernetes. Additionally to that, Red Hat has developed few functionalities to it. Like they use some OCF command in order to create some containers and all. Okay.
Okay.
And
So
additionally to that, we have graphical user interface. Okay,
yeah.
which is maintained.
So like, do we have a limit? Like each, even like this Kubernetes or like the OpenShift, they have like a master and pods, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
So like each master can, how many pods it can manage? Does it have any limit, or like
No,
is Kubernetes is
you
open
you
source or
you
no?
cannot say the limit. But I can promise you that instead of in physical server, how many virtual machines you can launch? Only certain things, right? Only few virtual machines. But in containers, it will be 10 times to that. Okay, 10 times. Because it is a lightweight container. It doesn't have much configurations in it. Okay, it doesn't occupy huge amount of resources and huge amount of space. That's how it works. Okay, so all your setup I'll be showing, see, entire Docker concept, Docker technology, everything I'll be showing you in this particular virtual machine, since I don't have physical server to show all these particular concepts, right? So that's the reason I'll be using virtual machines. So in the virtual machines I will install Docker and Kubernetes. Okay, so here you can see I already have the setup. So for a previous batch I've shown this particular concept, and for each and everything I will be showing you the practical things, how to do it and all. And we'll be having some discussions like what interview questions they will ask, okay, how we need to answer, what are the things we need to explain, what should be the bullet points that we need to talk while discussing about Docker and Kubernetes. So that I will be explaining. Okay, and we can also maintain some separate WhatsApp group, and so that we can have a discussion over there and offline, like someone having some doubts after the class, if they're feeling shy in asking in the class, then you can contact me in WhatsApp. Okay, so anyone can take the contact numbers and they can form a group. Okay, so this will be the entire course. So initially we'll be starting with Docker. Okay, so this is my contact number, so you can add my number to your group. Okay, and this is my email address where you can approach if some particular things are required. Okay, fine. So let's start our first day with Docker installation or whatever it is. Okay, so before that, I just want to explain few things, but I don't know how to use Paint. See, does anyone know about Mac? Please unmute your mic and talk to me, because this is the first time which I'm using Mac. In Mac, is there any tool that we can use like a Paint in Windows? Because in Windows we have a Paint tool, right? Similar to that in Mac, do we have anything? No? Okay, I will try to find a solution for it. Okay, just a second. Huh. What about text? Do we need to write something? Okay, so how Docker works, let me tell you. Okay, let's say this is my physical machine or a virtual machine. Okay, here you have installed Docker. So how to write text? Yeah, text. One more waste. Mm, oh, yeah. Okay, it's okay. So, okay. So simple, I will tell you. So Docker will be installed on this particular virtual machine or a physical machine, or you can install on Mac OS, or you can directly install on the Windows, or you can maintain on a Linux operating system. Okay, base operating system can be anything. It can be Unix operating system, it can be Linux operating system, it can be Mac OS, or it can be a Windows operating system where we can install Docker. Okay, so once a Docker is installed, you will be using a Docker tool, Docker command. Okay, Docker command will talk to the Docker daemon in the background service will be running. Okay, so when you execute a Docker command, that CLI will be talking to the Docker daemon, and Docker daemon will take the parameters which you have passed, and then it will create a container. Okay, so let's see the Docker installation. So you people are aware of this particular tool, Oracle VirtualBox.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, that's fine. So you know how to configure networking and everything, right? So that's fine.
Yeah.
So here, this is the virtual machine which I have already installed with Ubuntu 14.16.04 version. Okay. So here I am using two networks. One is NAT and one is host only adapter. Okay. Two networks I have enabled it. Because with NAT I cannot log in from outside, in the sense from PuTTY or whatever it is. Okay. Not from the geographical location I'm talking about. From my physical machine, if I want to log in to my virtual machine, I need to have a host on adapter or bridge adapter. Okay. So now I will start this particular, for this machine I have used 3.2 GB of RAM. This is operating system 16.04 Ubuntu, the network which I have created. Okay. So let me start this.
machines connect करते हैं. Hello, sir.
So you can also create one particular server with 16.04 version of Ubuntu.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, hi.
Do you mind showing me how to launch a virtual machine on VirtualBox?
Installation you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, so you want to say like installing the virtual machine and maintaining the virtual machines and all, right? Oracle
Yeah, on
VirtualBox and all.
VirtualBox. Yeah.
Okay, tomorrow we'll start. Okay, so today we are
No
already running out of time. We have only 10 minutes. Okay,
No problem.
so this is the operating system which I have. So I can connect to the internet. You can see that. There's some issue. Let me verify it. Hmm. Okay. So now we can see it is connecting to the internet. So without an issue. So this is the virtual machine where I will be using in order to install Docker. Okay. So if you want to have this particular virtual machine, so Oracle VirtualBox need to be installed first. Okay. So first of all, you need to install this Oracle VirtualBox. In order to install it, go to the browser, search in Google like Oracle VirtualBox download. Okay. So in the first link itself, it is the official link. So go to the www.virtualbox.org. So there you can see the downloads. Something went wrong with the internet. Someone can take an initiative and they can create a group. So this is the official website. You can go to the downloads. So maybe the downloads page is having some issue. So you can see later. So in the downloads, you can see there will be a session like latest version you will be having. Under that, we will have a separate link for Mac, for Windows, and for Linux. Okay. If you click on Mac, then you can download the latest one. So if you click on this, you can see. Five point two is the latest version. Yeah, I got the download page. So here we can see if my base machine is Mac, then I will be clicking on this particular link. If your base machine is Windows, then you need to click on it. Okay, and Linux. Solaris like Unix operating system. Okay, so just download that particular link and this install. Next, install. Okay, after that I will tell you what need to be done from tomorrow. Okay, done. Okay. So we'll meet tomorrow and then we'll be starting with the VirtualBox installation and setting up the VM, and then we will be installing the we'll be starting with the this particular Docker installation. Okay, and maintaining it. Okay, thank you guys. Thanks a lot. Thanks for joining the session.
Thank you.
Guys, you can drop.